Oh, morning guys. So welcome back to the 129 on this old darling. I'd like to rephrase that, but some days it can be a bitch. So I've got that piece clamped on the door that in the end of the video from yesterday. I had enough footage to make one video. Without cutting it, so I'm just taking it off. So that should be fairly well glued on there. I'll do a little bit of trimming, shaping on that shortly. Again, John from C.A.R Finishing or whatever his name is. C.A.R Builder, that's the one. He was saying that maybe I've got the door hinges in the wrong place. He just put a comment up. Well, I marked that top and bottom, and I've now got them there another way because I put them on one way. They didn't, something wasn't working, so I swapped them around and worked that way. As far as I can tell, looking at these hinges, because I've had them all off, I've got out the spares, I can't tell the difference between one and the other. I have studied, believe me, because years ago, Dad had a dismantling yard. I worked for him for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I guess, and I had helped him from a kid. Like, he bought the business, I think, in about 82 or 3. I would have been sort of 8, 9, 10-ish, thereabouts. Every school holidays, I would go there and help them. I'd pull cars apart. I've done it for years. All the way through my schooling, when it was school holidays, 9 times out of 10, I went to work with them. Unless I was doing something else with friends or whatever, going on a holiday or whatever. But if Mum was at work and Dad was at work, I'd go to work with Dad, pull cars apart, mark hinges, whatever. That's what I did as a kid, help rebuild engines. I've got a pretty good knowledge, John. I've been doing it, I'm 47 years old, been doing it since I was a kid. Dad's restored vehicles. Like, if you look up the bilge and transport world here in Invercargill, New Zealand, like, Dad restored, I would hate to guess how many trucks in there. I've learnt from him. He had the dismantling yard from 82 or 3 to about 99. And I worked for him from, I can't remember, about 96 or somewhere around about there to about 98. Probably a couple of years, 2.5 sort of years I worked for him permanently. Plus, as a kid, as I said, like most holidays, school holidays, because we have when I was a kid, apart from the Christmas break, which is our summer, which is normally from mid-December to the end of January, when you went back to school, sort of right at the end of January, start of February, we had 3 breaks up a year for 2 weeks. And I would go to work with him every year, So, yeah, I got a pretty good knowledge of telling what's different and what's not. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, when I first looked at all these door hinges, that's one thing I did. I checked to see whether they were different top and bottom. I actually marked the ones on the left-hand side, and when I was really studying them, I was like, I couldn't tell any difference, and I was like, screw it, it's not worth writing on them. They're all the fucking same, as far as I can tell. Like, even looking at these ones here, I can't tell a difference between that one and that one. Looking at them, like even when you open them, like say, they open the same way, they appear to be the same angles, shapes. Yeah, I don't know what model yours is like a 1918 or something like that. They probably are different. But, like sometimes when they were making these things, they'd go through eras where all that shit was the same. Like, it's a damn sight cheaper to make every door hinge on the vehicle is exactly the same. You know, when something like this, you know, I can imagine that they were all the same. You know, I know later model vehicles, they were different top to bottom, front to back. You know, like the front ones were different to the back ones, and you know, vice versa. Sometimes you might have been able to flip. I know some vehicles you could put the door hinge on the left, you know, maybe the top one on from the left rear door to the right rear door. No, but the bottom one might have been different. You know, like I've struck that before. You know. One door hinge would fit the other side up the other way, if you know what I mean. I don't know how many cars I've pulled apart, thousands. Yeah, like, I know where you're coming from, John. I really do. Like as I said, I've been doing this all my life. If I haven't been restoring, you know, my first, I don't know, 3 or 4 cars were broken down, rotted out things. You know, either the motor was good but the body was a bit rotten, or both. You know, I picked up cars. You know, the body wasn't too bad; it had a little bit of rust, but the motor was broken. Rebuilt that, or the motor was good but the body was a bit rotten. You know, I had one Toyota Corolla coming in from Japan. Somebody had been driving it around for a while. It had been filled up full of fiberglass. I bought it not realising how bad it was, because with a blown up motor went through it, and then realised, discovered it was full of fiberglass. Fixed all the rot in it. You know, all those sorts of things all through the years. Yeah, and as I said, like as a kid, I stripped and pulled apart a lot of vehicles. You know, from the 70s and 80s, and probably a little bit earlier than that. That's where I cut my teeth, you know, as a kid. You know, rebuilding engines, helping Dad rebuild engines, all those sorts of things. And then, as I did it for several years, I've helped mates convert cars from autos to manuals and all those sorts of things all over the years. Helped rebuild, change gearboxes, you name it. I've been doing it since I was a kid. Yeah. So, yeah, I've looked, yeah, I know, John. It's one of those things. I look at things, I can see whether they're different or not. Yeah, I looked at that. I did look at that. I don't know what it is, it's just weird. This side of the car, the right-hand side of the car, was worse than the other side. As I said, like, I got most of that with just shimming things, like, as you can see, like, that right front door, I've written, or sorry, left front door, left front bottom, left front top, and I've gotten around the other way. And I wrote that on them before I pulled them off. So, go figure. Yeah. Yep, I understand. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and get this stuff, that piece of wood trimmed down so I can get this freaking door on, and then I can get the bodywork done. I've also, somewhere in my pocket, have I got it? No, it might be in the car. Actually, it's my wallet. I've got an Iron Horse Garage card here. I'm going to stick on my little thing, and I've got one of these small stickers which I'm going to throw in my toolbox. I'm going to try and find a bonnet or a hood off an old Valiant, from somewhere that I can throw up on the wall or something, sit somewhere that I can put up to put stickers on. A bit like what the Iron Horse Garage boys have done. So yeah, I'm going to try and find one that's a bit rotten in the corners or something like that. That doesn't matter if I can put some screws through it and hang up on the wall, sort of type thing. Just to do that, because then I can, if I move from out of the shed or whatever, I can take it with me and hang it on a wall somewhere or whatever. Yeah, that's my plan there. I'll see how we get on. So, but anyway, I'll carry on. They're clean there somewhere. Not very well. I'll give it another go. Scratch the shitty lady. Anyway, get a sticker on it, boards. If I can get backing off it. Bit of iron horse in the old toolbox, eh? I got the card up here. Oh, fucking so. It's a pain in the ass, isn't it? I'll put that side up, William, instead of the other side. I can't see both sides at once, it's a bit of a pain, isn't it? Righty guys, so I've got this door fitting. It's taken a little bit of abuse, but I've got it fitting. This here is too skinny, and this was sticking up a little bit. So I've taken a little bit, I actually took to this with the grinder a little bit. I took it down, I actually beat it down a little bit because I'm going to have to fill it because it's too skinny anyway, so I'm going to have to build up a little bit under here, which is not ideal, but I was going to have to do it anyway. I've tried to tweak the corners a little bit. It's still fighting me a little. It's not going to be too bad. I might pull this piece of the panel out a little bit more, just to to get the shapes to match. I'm still fighting this edge. Like actually John suggested, I could put a turnbuckle in here somewhere and in there and tighten that and twist the door a little bit. Biggest problem with that is these things have a door pocket front and back, a little flap in there that's got a pocket in there. So I got to be careful where, if I did put a turnbuckle in there, where I put it. I could possibly put it through, say, here down to here to try and avoid the pocket thing that they have in the door, that they have in their upholstery. So that will just help this situation. When the door's closed and it was on the catch and all the other bits in there, if you slammed it would tweak it, but I might have to do what John has suggested. I have seen the turnbuckle thing in the doors. This is the only one that doesn't really fit that great, and it's always been a bit of a problem child, this corner. I actually pulled the nail out of here and tried to get the skin to move over a little bit. I thought I might have been able to get a little bit out of the skin, but it's pretty tight up against this. I thought I might have got a little bit, maybe I might have got the top of it to flex over so it wasn't quite so obvious, but no. I could pull the nails and pull the skin off and shave a little bit off the inside of the timber and get it to come off, get it to come over. But I think possibly the turnbuckle, put an eyelet like this and screw it into here and then screw it down into here or something like that and just pull a bit more twist in that door might help. But everything else, this one here is not too bad. It's a little bit the other way. It probably needs from there to there a little bit. But I can, when the door's closed, I have beaten this corner in a little bit. Again, it's, if you hold it down there and close it, it's actually closes quite good. I'm hoping that when it's on the catch maybe, and it's closed, it looks alright, if you know what I mean. Biggest problem is I've got lack of catches too. I've got a couple that I can swap between doors. The check stuff, which I might actually put all the catch plates back on. I've got one catch away, trying to find some others. The owner's away with one of them. He's going to a swap meet further up country a little bit this weekend or over the next few days, sort of type thing. And trying to see if he can get some bits. I might have to. I've got another one here in pieces that I could make some, because I've got that little mill now. If I get that set up, I could probably make the inner pieces if needed. But anyway, so I've got the doors fitting, they open and close. Like I said, that one there needs a little bit of a twist in it. It's always been a little bit like that, so I might have to do that. Yeah, sort something out. But the rest of them fit pretty good. I've still got to get that edge to come out. That's been a bit of a bitch too, because it's screwed fairly hard into the frame and behind. Hasn't quite got enough flex in it, so I might pull it off, just unscrew it, and then see if I can get it to manipulate it a little bit, and see if I can get any luck out of it, so we can get it to move, and just get that skin out a little. But yeah, all right, I'll come back to you. I'll figure out what I'm going to do next, and I'd like to just do some body work, but yeah, we might just have to tweak these little pieces before I get much further. Anyway, I'll catch you shortly. Right, I'm going to go see if I can get a small turnbuckle, and I've got some galvanised stranded wire at home, because I just replaced the acrylic clothesline, and that come with a heap of that, so I've got quite a bit of that left. So I need a couple of eyelet bolts or screws to go into the timber at each end, and a couple of little clamps to clamp the wire so they can't pull out, and a turnbuckle. And I've got not quite 2 feet to play with for total length, so I'll go see what I can find. I've had a quick Google. I think there should be something at the local hardware store that I should better do for sort of $10 or $15, you know, by the time I get the eyelet bolts and bits and pieces. So, hopefully. I've had a bit of a look around here, guy. I haven't got anything here that will help me along the way, if you know what I mean. So I'll go find something, and I'll be back, so we can get the twist of that door. Right, what I thought might have taken 20 minutes, 2 hours later. Only because I didn't happen to have any cash on me, and I went home, got this wire, which is left over from the clothesline, got a turnbuckle that's rated to 55 kilos, which is, I don't know, a bit over 100 pounds. Hopefully that's strong enough. Got a couple of eye hooks. It was either them or some small ones, so I went for the big ones. A couple of these to grip the wire. What I'm going to do is going to loop the wire back through both sides and pull it through, so grab all 3 strands. See if that works. If not, I'll just go back and get some more. And I got some lollies, what they call them, wine gum. We call them lollies. You guys call them candy over there. They're just soft, flavoured lollies. One of the personal favourites of mine. Hence the probably the belly. Anyway, we'll see if we can get this together. But yeah, it took me 2 hours because I went home, found the wire, and Mrs. wasn't home. Hunted round because I knew we had some cash at home, and she had taken all of it with her. She didn't need all of it, but she took all of it with her. So I tried to ring her, and then I eventually got hold of her. About an hour later, she had left her phone in the car when she was in a shot. So typical woman. When you friggin' want them, they'll never answer their phone. Anyway, let's have a look, see if this will work. With my oversized hooks here, or eye frickin' hooks, what do you want to call them? So, the plan is, grab my little bit of the packet. Probably freaking overkill. Might be alright. I'm going to draw a hole in here, screw that in here somewhere, maybe down through there like that, in here somewhere, and then it's buddy down through here somewhere. Definitely overkill, but hopefully they won't pull out. Because what the smaller ones were quite a bit smaller. They sort of, I was hoping there might have been something in between, but I just couldn't find anything, which is a bit of a pain now. It's like something sort of in between. The other ones were quite tiny and really light. You know, like, you know, they're on a screw that wasn't much heavier than this. And I was trying to look for something that was a little bit heavier. What sort of this sort of thickness of screw, or maybe a little bit bigger, but it was either, you know, just slightly bigger than this, or this. You know, there was no in between. It was a bit of a pain. If I'd gone into like into the bigger city, you know, I would have had a way more selection, but it was just what I could get here without running around. But yeah, drill a hole, screw this in here, screw the other one up there, put my little turnbuckle in between, which is, it shouldn't break. It's rated to a certain work limit, so hopefully it'll be alright. Put that in there somewhere and start screwing. I'm not going to live with that. I'm not going to live with that. Because this here does pull in there, that little piece. I think by the time that's latched, it should look pretty good. Alright, that's cool. I think, you know, we'll still, should be able to get a pocket in there. Yeah, that might be in the road, but as long as we can work around it. Just, possibly could have put it a little bit further down here to pull it around, but I think I should do the job. I just had to keep away from this frickin' block sort of comes out to here. So I've got to be careful that I don't, you know, screw myself up there. That other one that we've got here. Here's one of the parts ones, but this will give me an idea. This is one of the ones I can rebuild if I need to, if we can't find. I've got to remake the guts of it, or parts of the guts of it, if needed. Right, that's cool. Sorted. Finally, the doors is fixed, fitted, and fit the fucking holes. Again, I might just reattach the striker plates, just make sure that's happy. When I, go to close it, nothing's fouling. Just make sure they are good, and we'll go from there. Right, we're winning. So I screwed all the, we were guessing it's called striker plates, latches, whatever you want to call it, pieces. And all the doors still closed, they're all still sit in the right place. Like I've said, I should have another one of those here somewhere, a complete one. I'll have to hunt for it, because stuff's been moved so many times. It's here, one's away, trying to look for some more, and I've got another one in that, one in pieces. And I've actually got a couple other bits and pieces, but not enough to make a full one, if you know what I mean. That's not enough to make a full one either, but I've actually got all the main pieces. I need to actually remanufacture one part of it, which is actually this piece, it's the sliding piece that's in it. Part of it's broken off, but everything else is there. And I need to find some springs for inside it, but that's no biggie. So all those pieces fit. The only thing is, it's not probably a biggie. The original ones of these actually come all the way down here too. They've got a, on here, there's like a little button thing that slides in a hole like this. And then there's another one of these, so there's two of those, which is like a little bump thing that sits on, that actually goes in behind here, like a little rubber bumper. And then there's a locator on the door, which helps locate, obviously. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have a look and see if maybe I can manufacture the extra piece up and maybe just make it a separate piece, but still screws on there. I'd have to take some of this down. Yeah, it's the end of the day, it's probably not actually going to matter. What I could do is just put an extra little piece of timber down there and then cut a slot in it and still put the locator in there, if you know, the piece that's down here, and work out where it touches and cut that, at least the locator in it. If need be. Otherwise, I can just put a little bit of body filler down here and hide these nails, because that's what it sort of covers. I can pull a picture up and show you what it looks like. I've got a photo, so that's why I know what it looks like, because I don't know how hard these would be to find the correct thing. But at the end of the day, these are actually modified front ones. I just cut them down because we had a few of these for front. So I cut two down to fit here. At least we had something, and if we ever found the proper ones, we would just swap them out. But we haven't found the proper ones yet. To be honest, I don't know if Dave over in Australia's got any. I haven't actually asked. Something I haven't thought about. But we could go down that avenue. But at the end of the day, it's probably not really a biggie. Nobody's going to really know. As I said, I can put a little extra timber down there, cut the notch in it, and be done with it. You know what I mean? Because it would just, the extra little piece would bump up against here. And this would have to be notched in a little bit. Which it wouldn't be a biggie, and it would actually look quite good, and it would help finish it off, hide this body edge. That's what it's meant to do. So yeah, but anyway, I'm happy with where I'm at now. I'm going to leave these on to do the body full of work. These will be painted anyway, so that they'll get it cleaned up and painted. off the body, but painted. But I can leave them on now because that gives me just it gives me a position to clamp these at, and then it'll actually stop these doors from moving around when because I'll just clamp with these clamps to hold the doors closed when I'm doing this bodywork now, which I should better do very, very shortly. At least start. I think I'm at that point. I think I've got rid of the nightmares. Just wonder if I should just put a little bit more twist in this door. Just stall it out a little bit. It's not bad. I might put a little bit more of a twist in it, just see if I can pull that top around a little bit more. Righty, I've actually got it up on the axle stand, so I've lifted it probably 4 inches, 100 mils thereabouts. Just be a little bit easier to work on the lower stuff, and the rest of the body is not at a bad height for working at without bending down silly or whatever. But it's not extreme. It's not overly high like it was over here. I can still get up. I can still sand over the like over here. Fine, not that I actually really need to do it. I actually just finished that. There's a little wee dent up here. I just had a fairly good feel. That top part of the tail is really, really good. And there's one wee dent there that I actually put in there from when I put a screw in there. It was a little long, so I just knocked that back. So I have to put a wee smear body put up there. It's not going to matter. Another wee mark there. I think I must have knocked that back early at some other point. But it's had a new section welded down here, and it's not the best. It's okay. The other side's actually worse because this is actually in. This line is actually in. So what I'm going to do, I can kind of get in there. It's not easy. I'm going to have to come in from this sort of angle and try and punch it out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get a bit of timber, shape it to this sort of shape an end on it, or a point on it, about this sort of shape, and try and drive it in there and see if I can just push that a little bit of a swage out on the other side. I'll show you. Just use a piece of this hardwood and just shape it up and bang it in there. Just see if I can move it a little, just to end up with a better result. So I haven't really studied the cow. I knew it was pretty good. Where are we? So yeah, down here, it's actually pushed back and in a little bit. So yeah, I'll shape a bit of wood that's similar to this shape, because I can't get in because of the bracing dead on. I can't get in because there's that bracing, but I can come in at a bit of an angle. Hopefully I can get in there and just drive it in there, and at least lift it out so it's close, and then the rest of it's not too bad. I might have to come along here and knock this back a little bit. Actually might have to shrink it, maybe. Feels like it might be a little overstretched, just the view. We'll see what happens when this comes out. I think it might be just a little overstretched here from this line, if you know what I mean. We'll see. But I'll start on the other side first. I'll knock that out while I'm thinking about it. The rest of it all lines up. I'll DA'd that other side, the doors and stuff like that, just to take body filler. We'll just put a wee bit of cardboard underneath the axle stands, just so it's not hard on the paint. So I've DA'd. I'll just run over this with the DA. Obviously clean the body filler up, and just to give the etch primer a bit of a quick scuff so the body filler will key in. Okay, without being too much bare steel, if you know what I mean. Just stuff it up. So yeah, I don't think we're going to actually need a lot. I'll just put a smear down here, and we'll block it out. I'll possibly cover just the doors again, or I think it probably needs it. It's not bad. I probably could have got away with it. I'll smear, especially these marks in these anyway that need filled. So I might just give them a light skim and skim this, and then hopefully when I rub the sanding blocks across, you know, these 4 or 5 panels, whatever, yeah, 5 panels, and the centre section there back, and the 2 doors in the front. I might just skim coat this sort of through there. Won't panic too much. I'll try and blend it back into here. So it doesn't need it fully. And I'll leave these pieces alone and skim down past them, but try and take it off here and here. Because those panels are meant to be separate. It'd actually be nice if I could take them off, but I can't be nailed on there. So yeah, we'll get that sorted. Blend this in into here, and you'll be done with it. Actually, I'll leave that to the other day, till tomorrow or whatever. I'll get this side mudded in. Come back to that. Come back in a minute. We'll have some mud on here, hopefully. Righty, so I've mudded through there. It's not thick. I'm probably going to have to hit places again. The doors probably weren't too bad, you know, but I've just skimmed them so I can block through, hopefully reasonably well. You know, a lot of it will come off, and then we'll better see whether we need to put more in the pillar and into that rear guard. You know, when I block it, actually I'll block it a fair way back there, and, you know, block back into the body floor and the high build that's into the backyard. You know, like I'll probably block back to, you know, here somewhere, block it back and to see whether that will flatten out through there. And obviously the same into the front piece. You know, I might need to put a little bit more through here, who bloody knows, or I might need nothing. And obviously, yeah, I might need a little bit more down the bottom of the edge of the door where I was running out. So that's cool. I tried not to get it on those bottom pieces. I'll have to clean it up, but that's no biggie. But, and I've tried to build. I splooshed a bit up in there, and then I actually scraped it along there across the top, and then once I've sort of done a lot of it, I actually come back and sort of try to scrape sort of the excess away. So hopefully this is a similar thickness now to the rest, and then I'll just dial it in a little bit later on. Now with a little bit more body filler glazing putty or whatever, you know, so that's cool. So I'll let that cure off. I might make, while I'm letting that curing, I might make my little wooden piece to try and knock that dint out of the other side of the front. That'll just give me some time to cure off. Hopefully I can at least start blocking that back today. You know, rip the top off it with 40 grit with the DA, and then start sanding it back with 80, and just see where we're at. You know, see what it comes up like. You know, blend it out through the wheel arch and the centre post and whatever, and see what works. It shouldn't be bad. I don't think it'll be bad at all. I actually pinched the clamp off the back door and just put it on the bottom of that front door, because it was, when it was holding up there, it was just wiggling a little bit. So I just wanted to stop that bottom of that door moving. The back door doesn't seem to move like that, but the top of the bottom of the front door, just it would move in and out. So I just clamped it to stop it from moving. Hopefully when I block it out, so I'm not fighting with that, but should be good. I'll get this other little piece made and see if I can get in that hole and knock that piece that's dented on another piece out a bit and go from there. That'll give me a little bit to play with while I'm letting that set. Right, we'll come back later. Right, that was fairly simple. It's not dead perfect. It's very awkward to get into. So I've got to come in at an angle sort of like that somehow. And I've only sort of got I don't know, about an inch or a bit of movement up and down in there. But I've managed to punch that out a little bit and improve the situation, and the rest of it we should better take out with body filler, because I can't really to get in there. That's kind of the right shape. I used the profile tool just to get me a rough idea of the shape, and I just sort of worked it out. So it's like, hammer of the road. Try and show you roughly how I did it. That's sort of the shape. I made it so that there would sort of fit in there, kind of that shape, if you know what I mean, roughly, and just sort of drove that into that piece in that corner, you know, just up and down there a little bit. Just got in there and beat it with the end with the hammer half a dozen times and just shoved that out a little bit. It improves the situation. Skim the body filler, and it is what it is. Like, you could keep beating on it, but I've only got a certain amount of room I can move up and down. Like, I could, you know, take a bit off this end of the block so I could possibly get up and down in there, but like, I've only got so much space to work with, so I know it is what it is. It's improved it. It's not perfect, but by the time I've mudded it a little bit, again, nobody's going to know. Righty, so this is the last instalment for today. I've had enough. I've probably been sanding on this, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes, I guess. Roughly just blocking out what I've got here. And it's come out pretty good, like, considering these panels. Where these panels are a little bit lower than the other one on the edge, I'm not going to make the edges thick. I'll just run, once I've sort of happy with, you know, all the middle parts of the panels and everything like that, as long as it's not super funny at the edges, I'll just blend the edge back a little bit, if you know what I mean. Roll it, because even in here, like this sort of, it's not dead straight through here, if you know what I mean. So there's no point making it a dead flat thing, but otherwise it's just going to be queer. The edge is going to be heavy and thick and stuff like that. I'm just trying to get it really to flow through here pretty nicely, you know, and we'll just blend the panels out as we get closer and closer. But I think for the, you know, I roughed the doors in earlier on. I've given it another skim. You know, I can block quite a bit more off the sheet. It's basically 5 o'clock. You know, this here's come up really good. I'm stoked with this piece, how it's come into this door. That's awesome. You know, it obviously needs a little bit more. I can blend that out a little bit. You know, it probably needs a bit more in here. You know, clean the corners up, clean the edges up, sort of type thing. But the initial scrape around there, pretty freaking happy with that. This is going to blend in really nicely. That's going to be look really shit hot once it's cleaned up, you know. Get a bit more material off here. That there's going to come up pretty reasonable, you know, by the time I've dialed it in. I think that door's going to come out really easy. Yeah, the whole thing really is going to block out pretty quick. This door obviously needs a lot more. You can see that it's, you know, all the Marko are just mud, it's spread it out. You know, this can have quite a lot more blocked off it. Now we should get rid of most of that before I have to do any other little bits and pieces. And this, as I said, like, if the other edges of the doors are a little bit lower than the next panel, I'll blend it out so it's not a major thing, you know. As we know, it's a wooden car, it's going to move and twist and flex around anyway, so it's never going to be dead perfect. Even if you got it perfect, you know, you'd be driving down the road one day and it wouldn't look perfect. It's just the nature of the beast, nature of the wooden body. But, you know, at this level, it's going to look pretty shit hot. I haven't done anything to the other side. We'll get this side dialed in pretty close, and then we'll flip over to the other side. Right out, we'll catch you later on. Morning everybody, so back here again. Hopefully carry on from here for a bit, make it the ending of this last video. So I started dialing that in yesterday, as you've seen. So I'm going to sand for a bit longer, and then I'll put another scrap of body filler on there, and when I might even put some body filler on the other side before I finish this. just so when I put the body filler on here I can switch that side. But yeah, that's about it. I'm hoping this weather's pretty clear at the moment, so I'm hoping that it stays okay for tomorrow so we can go and get some of this burnout footage and whatever. The weather's meant to be pretty funny, so I don't know. Hopefully it sort of stays okayish and we get a chance to do that, because it's a long way to, well, it's not a long way to go, but it's a fair distance. So it's not just 5 minutes down the road, we're talking an hour and a half plus drive to go there to do the burnouts, and hopefully there might be some old cars here to walk around and get a bit of a video footage of, so hopefully it doesn't end up being a washout, if you know what I mean. Weather's not meant to be very good over the weekend, but it looks like it might be half okay tomorrow. We'll see. Righty, so we've got that spread. So that door's got its initial from obviously when I did that bit of that body work and shrunk it. And obviously put a bit in there to blend the door into that. And that's even never had anything around there. This is the post that had a bit of a crease in it. So it's a wee bit thicker down that edge, but it is what it is. And it's never going to be horrendous, and it's not one of those panels. I'd have to undo it all and pull it off to straighten it. It could have done that, but it's a lot of pissing around. You have to undo all the hinges and all that sort of crap, and undo all the plates and whatever, and try and pull it off. And I'd have to undo these pieces here, get off and straighten it. So it's just as easy to put a little extra mud in it. This door is not too bad, but I just put a light scrape over it to try and give it some material to block off as we're going through, and then obviously into here with a bit of damage. And I've tried to put a little bit extra around this piece so I can blend it in with the rest of it as I go. I actually noticed sandflies around here bad this morning, which is unusual. Mind you, they normally come out when it's freaking going to crap itself, so that's nice. So yeah, I'll let that go off. I did this door sort of first. It's starting to harden up. This other stuff's still soft. So yeah, we'll let that go off. I'll keep sanding on this other side, see if I can block this out a bit further. And then hopefully, by the time I've got this fairly well cleaned up and get down as far as I can, that side should be good, and I can re-mud where I need to attack here, and then block that side off, if you know what I mean. So hopefully I shouldn't have to do too much more on here. It'll be mainly just this piece, maybe a bit of crap around there, and obviously in here. Hopefully these doors won't be too bad. I should be able to block them back fairly hard. Might need a little bit more tighter type thing, but I've already done the initial reasonable blockouts on them, so they shouldn't need a huge amount more. It's just a matter of just getting them a little bit more suited to obviously the block through instead of just blocking a panel, if you know what I mean. So it will be slightly different, but not a lot. So I'll keep sanding. Righty guys, so I think I've finished sanding this back in the meantime. You can see there's like a few patches where I haven't got enough, especially the way I'm doing it right through. I will blend these edges back a little bit because they're not bad at the moment though. Like, there's nothing drastically thick along that, you know, like it's not terrible, you know, by the time you round the edge off and just take that sharpness off, you know, and blend it out, whatever. There's nothing crazy there, if you know what I mean. You know, I can walk around with a magnet, actually, here. I can walk around with this magnet. Yeah, it'll stick anyway. So, look, it's not as though it's thick on there anywhere. Now, this is the door that I made. Now, even here, you know, it's not. From what you sort of look at, you think, shit, there's a lot of body filler on there, but no, it's not really. It's thin. You're spreading the whole panel, blocking it off to get it straight. You know, that's the initial. You know, we'll block that off. It's not, unfortunately, it's not dry yet. The temperature has dropped again. You know, it's the nature of the beast around here. You know, I thought I might have put enough hardener in it because I knew it was a little bit cooler. It's not cold. It's definitely not cold, but it's not that 20 degrees and above C. It's about 16. So it's not cold. It's just taking longer. So what I'm going to do, I was going to mix up a little bit more mud, spread this side again where obviously it needs it, you know. And here, like this had a panel, it's had a repair put in here. So it needs a little bit more in spots, you know, I'll spread a little bit, you know, maybe a little bit through here. This is the type thing just to blend that. And we'll block it out, try and get it a bit cleaner into the edges, you know. This is just low in spots, so it needs it. Another scrape over it, try and block it out, you know. We'll get a bit of a high spot there, you know, which will just, you know, we can't sand too much off that, otherwise that's going to stick out like dog's balls. And unfortunately, it'll be a screw in the under panel, and here where there's a piece of metal screw on this bottom edge and this side edge to take the skin. So it'll be a screw. So, and I can actually feel it a little bit. I might run the metal file across that and just see if I can take a little bit of metal off, and then, you know, I'll scrape another lot of body filler through there, and we'll just have to try and get it a little bit thicker in that spot and try and blend it through. You know, again, like I didn't get into the edges too well when I did the initial spread. It is what it is, you know. Come back up here, clean this up a bit more, Now I can take this door off and I can blend that in better later on. You know, I'll whip the doors back off. I'll probably finish them off a bit, you know what I mean, or get them smoothed in here and get them so, like, I'm really happy with, you know, there's no more major, you know, like this sort of crap on here. Well, they've got it down to pretty nitty gritty. I'll probably take them off and do them off on the car, you know, just unscrew them off the car, finish them, whatever, maybe prime them on the car, I don't know, we'll sort that out. But yeah, this stage needs to be done on the car, and then we can, once we're getting really, really close, then we can carry on whatever off. Might better, once I've sort of got them really dialed in off, then I might better screw them back on and high build everything, and then sand it back with the acrylic blocks, you know, those Locky style block type things. Throw my earplugs in the ground. So yeah, so once I've spread that on, I'm going to go back and I might start doing the front fenders and rear fenders again, just to let that cure off on the other side, and then, you know, block that out for another hour or whatever, but some of those panels out for another hour or two, and then come back and try and do that other side. And maybe this side might be gone off too, because I'll put a little bit more hardener in this. You know, I thought I had enough on the other side. I was probably It mightn't be a bit light, but you know, I was just with that slightly cooler temperature. It's going to take a little bit longer just to get that gummy off the top, which is a pain. You know, we're not consistently up in those 20 plus degrees all the time. We get fast swings here just because we're so close to the coast, and New Zealand's not very big, so the weather changes quick. If I was a bit further inland, that's a bit more stable, but down here we're, you know, only really 30 or 40 miles from the you know, the sea, you know, or the ocean, so that weather can change quick. But anyway, I'll carry on. Righty, so I've just mudded this again. Now I've scraped it out. I've tried to spread it out pretty hard to get it as thin as possible, but to try and get all those little marks and bits and pieces that were in it. A lot of it is there just so I've got something to sand off to get back down to where it was to fill to, yeah, so we've got those other marks filled out. Now put a little bit around here, a little bit down in there. Try to get into the edges a lot better this time. Now I've got all the doors open so I can get into all the little edges a lot easier in this spread. So that's cool. Yeah, and I've tried to scrape it out pretty thin, and just try and get, especially the two doors, to try and get all the marks that I could see, and try and scrape it out as thin as I could, but you know, have something so I've got something to sand off until we get back down to, you know, like the little areas that I have missed on this where I was running out. You know, I've tried to spread this a little bit further so I can blend this in a little bit better next time, and obviously add a little bit more where it needed it. So yeah, and then that centre panel too. So yeah, when that's dried off, I'll clamp the doors closed and we'll start blocking it through, and then we'll open up and we'll do the little edges and bits and pieces. So now I'll get on with one of these other panels, unless this is dried off enough. Yeah, it's not bad. A little bit longer, I think. It's still tacky on top, and unfortunately it feels like it's getting cooler, so it's not helping. But yeah, I'll screw this fender down and I'll start sanding that, and at least get that blocked out one more time. And then hopefully by the time all that's done, and maybe I'll have lunch, and that stuff should be hard enough. I sort of put extra in that other filler, yeah, a little bit more than what I did with this, so hopefully it should cure off. One of them should cure off, but yeah, it feels like it's cooling off even more. The weather's getting crappier and cooler out here. It was trying to rain before, so as you can see, it's quite cloudy. There was a little bit of sun out here earlier on, but they ain't now. Yeah, it's just sort of, you feel a little bit of moisture in the air falling. So it's trying to rain, if you know what I mean. Like you can see the car, it's like sort of wet, but not wet. So yeah, it's a pain. It is what it is. But hopefully we get to go to the burnouts tomorrow and they have that. It's a long way to drive for it to piss down, but we'll see what happens in the morning, see what the weather's like. Otherwise, I'll just come to work and just keep sanding. Righty guys, so yeah, it's pissing down outside. But anyway, I've got a little bit more blocking to do. I can probably block a bit more the front of this door a little bit more. I'm out of it here. It needs some more body filler, through the back part of this door. I have got a hammer, and I've given these spots of a knock to try and hopefully maybe make them a little lower so they don't come up quite so quick. This one come up fairly fast. We'll just have to see what happens. I might have to come along and actually hammer it down a bit harder with something a bit more pointed, and so we can take some height out of it. The rest should be okay, I think. Maybe that one too, but I need some more body filler down the bottom of this post. Up here it needs a bit more too. You can see where I'm sort of touching the edges, because this has had the one that had the crease in it. But it's coming up pretty good. Like, it's not going to need a lot to pull it up. I can block the crap out of this door some more. I've blocked it down a fair way, but it needs obviously a lot more. It wasn't far away really beforehand. I haven't done a lot here yet. And I've sort of blended this. I started blending this into here. And it's not looking too bad either. I'm half tempted to pull that door off and just do it on a panel stand. And possibly this, because the rest of it's actually transitioning quite good. I can sort of carry on from there, if you know what I mean. But, you know, if I put too much on here, then I might end up with it high, but I shouldn't do. We just got to be careful when we're blocking it back. It just might be a little easier to get these edges finished and the centerpiece finished without the doors there. Now that I've got the initial block out, if you know what I mean, and I'm fairly happy with how the doors, how all these panels are going to transition. I'm pretty happy. Like, I know it's not a dead even, because it goes like that, and the front, well, this middle post, which is attached to the seat, sort of goes along like that, and it kicks out, and it goes back that way a little bit. Like, there's not much I can do about that. It is what it is. But it's going to look, as you look down through these panels, they should look pretty nice and straight. I think this side's slightly better, but it does the same sort of thing. You can sort of see it down through there, you know. That centre post sort of kicks that way, which would be nice if it was back around the other way a little bit, but there's not much I can do about that. It is what it is. I haven't blocked any more down this side yet. I've just been concentrating on the other side. I got a little bit done on that front fender, but bugger all. I was sort of going slow, trying to get some of this edge stuff really cleaned in. You know what I mean? I've actually got a high spot there. I've done a little bit down the back as well. So I've just been trying to get these edges to try and transition in nicely. These are going to be a bit of a mongrel, just because of the amount of damage that was in them, and then I've had, you know, the amount of filler that I've had to do to put into these edges to try and get it to blend back in nicely. It's going to take a bit of sanding to try and get a nice sort of fairly crisp edge. It's going to be a lot of work to get these right. I think generally, like, the shapes are all right. No, it's going to take a lot of blocking, but to try and bring these edges back in quite crisp, it's going to be a wee bit of work, because the back ones are a bit sharper than the fronts, so it's kind of going to be noticeable. So I need to spend a bit of time like these here. These lines are quite, because there was sort of less damage on these. These are quite crisp, quite a crisp edge. That's quite prominent where those started kind of losing it on these front ones. One side's not too bad, like the outs. The inside on this one's quite good. That's not too bad, but they need sort of just slowly sharpened in. I might have to get creative, and I've heard a couple of guys say make a block that's that right. It's got that sort of jut in it, and stick a bit of paper to it so it actually shaves that shape in it. But you got to be careful you don't get wavy, but I think we'll get it. It's not too bad. It's just not quite as prominent. But like this spot here is, well, probably, maybe here hasn't had much damage at all. So, you know, it's hard to tell. You know, what's meant to be what, but we'll get them pretty good. So yeah, I'll just have to keep blocking. Yeah, as I said, like, I think we're at the stage where we need a bit more body filler on the back. I'll block the front of the door out a bit more, so if we can get a bit more of these marks in before we put anything else in there. I haven't got, I need to get in a bit closer to this edge. And yeah, and block that front door back a bit more. But that's where we're at, so I'll carry on and we'll catch you later on again. Righty, so this has just had its second skim. I took the doors off just so it's a little bit easier to sand. I'm pretty happy with how the first block back come back out. And I've skimmed the doors too. I've tried to do it as flat as possible. This is a different lot to the lot that I just put on those pieces. I'll probably play with it just a little bit long, just trying to really smooth it out. So hopefully I had less, sanding to do to get it nice. This is well and truly hardened off. I'm hoping I might be able to block this back now for another, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes before I knock off. Friggin' weather's not very good now. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be okay and we can get to the burnout to the semi-car show, whatever it is, the rev rock and hop that is kind of happening but not happening, I'm guessing. I reckon that's why they're sort of doing the burnout thing. Hopefully, I'm hoping that, a lot of people will take their old cars and it'll be quite a good day without being an official thing. So it'd be cool. Hopefully that works out alright and there's a few cars there to have a bit of a look, nose out in between obviously the different burnout things, which would be cool. Hope the weather's okay tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If it's really shitty here in the morning, I might just come back here and do some more on this, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's good. Otherwise, if that doesn't work tomorrow, hopefully the weather's okay Sunday and we'll go out to the drags, but that doesn't look very hopeful either. But typical, the couple of things that you actually might be able to go to and the weather's crap. Anyway, I'll get sanding on this side. That's about it, I guess. Lots of sanding.